Hi everyone, this is Phi. I'm checking out AGDG Demo Day 21 games, and today we're looking at Megagirl. This is a game I have not played before. I did play a previous demo from the same developer. Apparently, from what he had mentioned, I guess he gave up on that game, started something else. It's always fine. Always good to, work on something you want to. Nevertheless, let's go ahead and read the game page here real quick. It says, controller only, keyboard and mouse cannot play my game. Left joystick is to move, right joystick to aim. X is toggle, lock-on mode. Okay. A is to dash, B is to jump. That's interesting. And L is to shoot. Huh. Seems like a strange choice of buttons. Jump and dash for more distance, collect gems, and defeat the enemies in the cave to win. This is still very much a work in progress. There are many known bugs. This demo is for AGDG Demo Day 21 as a playtest prototype. Alright, so that's all it's written. Let's go ahead and kill that overlay. The game just kind of launches into this here. Looks like my controller didn't... There we go. Oop. Alright, so I got a little bit of an issue I'm noticing already. It appears there's no or very little dead zone on the sticks. So unfortunately that means that you get in these situations like I'm not. Right now I have my fingers are completely off the sticks, but it's still moving because it's interpreting very, very tiny off-axis amount to be an input. You definitely have to get that dead zone tweaked for any game that uses the thumbsticks. Not only because of this issue, but because of other things that happen too. As the control stick returns to the center, it can get like, it can start giving you like false inputs basically, where it's very slight deviations from the center can basically end up being like any direction input. So if you like go left and then you let go of it, it might go up or down real quickly or something like that. So you get all these false inputs and it's just bad news all around. So definitely get those dead zones in there. It's usually like something like 0.3 or 0.4. That's usually a good default anyways. The choice of buttons is a little strange. I like, the A button for jumping. This is an Xbox controller, by the way. B is a little odd. Another thing is apparently L. Alright, it looks like he's using the bumpers. L is to shoot. It's kind of weird to me. Like, I would prefer probably either a face button or maybe the R, for some reason the right side just feels more natural for shooting, maybe because I think more games use like the right trigger or whatever for shooting. So the bumpers are being used. I always mention this, some people seem to like the bumpers for some reason. For me, like I only want to use the bumpers occasionally because my fingers rest a lot more naturally on the triggers on the Xbox 360 controller. So it's much more comfortable for me to just use the triggers for any primary inputs, and then like the bumpers can be kind of a secondary whatever. I prefer to use those occasionally, so to have to use that kind of constantly for shooting is a little strange. It looks like the A is dash and then B is to jump. Ooh, and apparently I have to aim kind of with my body here. Ooh, that's... Uh-oh. Camera's getting stuck in the wall. So I don't know... Alright, so yeah, it's shooting on button release for some reason. Oh, there's another guy. Die. Okay. So for some reason it's... Stop moving. Stop moving. Okay. For some reason it's been programmed so that the shooting... Oh, okay. So that the shooting happens on release, which means it's less responsive technically, and I could definitely tell that that's the case. A reason why the developer might have chosen to do that is if he wanted to implement a charge shot, of course, which is a thing in Mega Man games, which this is apparently inspired by to some extent, which does make sense, but yeah, it is worth noting that the unfortunate side effect of that is it is noticeably less responsive, the shot, because it waits until you let off the button before it shoots instead of when you press it. So that can be a little annoying, especially with that left bumper, it's not very easy for me to press that rapidly, so it doesn't feel very responsive, unfortunately. Aside from that, I am noticing again, you have to aim with your body. I don't remember if you mentioned. I'm going to check the page real quick to see if there's something I forgot here. Okay, there's a lock-on mode. X button is to lock on, so that's going to be important. Right joystick to aim, which I think is actually just the camera, not actually aiming, unless it's used in the lock-on mode, which we can... Oh, okay. That makes sense then. And then the left bumper for some reason. Very strange choice of controls, in my opinion. So I prefer that the vertical axis be inverted. I don't think there's any options for controller settings or anything right now, so something to keep in mind. That's, you have to have an option for that because people prefer different things. I haven't played any shooters with a controller in a long time, but yeah, I definitely prefer inverted for that. So yeah, for the controls, I might suggest what I would like is to have either the R key or X button. I mean, either the right trigger or like the X button for shooting. I would stick to A for jumping, and then probably the left trigger for dashing. And you still have the Y and the B buttons, the face buttons for like lock on or whatever else you want. You've got plenty of buttons to work with. So far, it seems. But for me, that would be way more intuitive. So just kind of, to me, it seems like these are like all the wrong buttons. Just my opinion anyways. I don't know if anyone else would feel the same, but I expect someone else might. So the camera is kind of funky. It does kind of clip into the walls. Doesn't really seem to try not to at all. Wow, is that like a wall run? Oh, is that intentional? Oh, I guess not. Okay, I was gonna say, do you have wall running implemented, but apparently you just run straight up the wall. So that's kind of silly. Whoa, that was trippy. That's really trippy. Okay, so I'm guessing I'm just gonna like fall into an abyss over here. Oh, there's ground. Okay. Alright. So there's no kill plane, it's just ground forever. I'm not gonna bother running out there or whatever. This is obviously out of bounds. Wonder what that is. Oh, you can dash in the air, okay. It looks like you can just kind of mash this forever and just kind of keep dashing constantly. Should be easier, I think, if it was on a trigger, but... how did I get into this? Okay. There's some blocks out here. I wonder what these shapes are. I wasn't trying to find these, I was just messing with the controls, but... apparently these are here. Wonder what else might be hidden out here. I'm not going to mess around out here too much. I'm gonna go ahead and Alt F4. There's probably no way to get back in, so we'll have to relaunch the game. Make sure we're hooked in here. There it goes. All right. Okay, so let's see if we can lock on one of these guys. This is the lock-on mode, supposedly. Now, can I... Okay. Oh. I mean, it's showing a thing, but then... Am I supposed to aim at them manually, and then this box shows up? I kind of expected the lock-on mode to actually lock on. Alright, so he's kind of... It looks like there's a tiny bit of auto-aiming going on there, but you have to, like, keep the thing pointed at him, which is hard, because for one, the stick isn't inverted as I expected, or as I am used to. And I also just don't play games where you have to aim with the thumbstick very much. I'm used to keyboard and mouse controls by now. Gosh. nonetheless, okay, I gotta hit the left bumper. I gotta remember the left bumper. All right. So yeah, I think I think that this could work fine if I could aim better. I feel like intuitively Y button would make sense to switch between these, but go ahead and try to progress a little bit here. And I'm wondering, do these, like, yeah, they do heal you a little bit. It feels like you should be able to double jump or something, but you can't clearly. You can dash in the air, but you don't get any height. You actually go down. Oops. I really want to use A to jump. Alright, so I'm noticing the collision on the little pickups is a little tight, so you have to like really run into them. For that sort of thing, there's really no reason why you should make the player have to work to pick up something like this. It's really insignificant. So might as well make those collision boxes nice and big, so the player just doesn't have to worry about it. It looks like we have to, what the heck? Looks like we have to, where's the buttons here? Oh gosh, it's awful because it's not inverted. Yeah, it looks like we have to dash and jump over here. So it's a little annoying. Like, I'm so used to these 3D games having certain conventions, like being able to grab edges, ledges, whatever, or having double jumps and that sort of thing. So I have to kind of reprogram my brain. It's just so common that I have to think about the fact that I have to just be more particular about landing on top of the surface here. And this lack of dead zone isn't helping either. Alright, so remember the buttons. Jump, dash. So yeah, if I look like I'm kind of spinning wildly a little bit, that's because of that dead zone. So there's something over here. I'm wondering if he put that angled surface there on purpose because he realized that you could kind of do a pseudo wall run where you just literally run up the wall. I kind of want to go over there and do that now. I don't think I can just... It's another thing. Sometimes I get to the edge and press jump, like right when I start falling off, and then you just fall. It's something you can put a little bit of a buffer there so that players don't do that, which I think I actually mentioned on the last game that I played by this developer. Oh, I guess you can probably just jump up there, can't you? Or you can run over here. Oh, I fell off anyways. That's lame. So yeah, it does get tiring, like if you do happen to fall off stuff, and you have to go all the way back around and start over. It's pretty annoying when that does happen. Like after a couple times, it's just like you don't want to bother anymore. Oh, that was weird. Okay, so it's another, again, issue with the dead zone. So what happened there is I push forward and I jump, and then I let go of the stick, and then the what I mentioned about getting bad inputs, it registered a backward input after I like let go of the stick, and it bounced backwards physically. So it's like instead of continuing forward in the air, I actually stopped and went backwards a little bit in the air. So that's why it's kind of funky wonky like that. Wow. See, I really thought I could get up there. Alright, so yeah, like I said, it's annoying to have to keep going back here, like trying to experiment a little bit, obviously, rather than just run to the end, but even so. Something to be considerate of, for the sake of level design, and also kind of what I mentioned about having some of those conventions, like being able to double jump or grab ledges, and just kind of give you some more options to get around. Now, I don't know what I'm meant to look at here. I guess I just jump down and then, what's it, the X key? Oh, gosh. do these guys not lock on? You have to really point at them, okay. Alright, so it does kind of lock on a good amount, at least for those guys. As long as you don't move the reticle across a different enemy, I suppose. Wow, I'm gonna super die. I can't really aim very well. Another thing is, unfortunately, with these controls, you have to take your finger completely off of the dash move and the jump button in order to aim. So you can't do both, which is really not a great thing. It's another reason why it would be a good idea to have, in particular, like your dash moves, and that's probably going to be most useful defensively. Have that be on one of the R or L triggers or bumpers, I suppose, if you really like the bumpers. I don't like the bumpers. I don't think I have to kill these guys to kind of go forward here. Okay, we'll get this to work somehow. I think I can just run up the wall here to kind of cheat this a little. Should work. Right. Alright, so I think we just have to kill these guys. There's probably not anything else. Oh, did they not spawn in now? Is it because I didn't kill the last set of dudes? Oh, whoop, whoop. What's the button? Here we go, okay. Alright, if I can kill them before they swarm me too much, it shouldn't be as bad. Instead of like talking and whatever I was doing. Ah. Oh gosh. There's a lot of them, holy moly. And they're kind of bullet spongy, as it turns out. They do take a lot of shots, which is generally not a good thing, I would say. I think most people prefer enemies to be less bullet spongy. Bullet sponge is kind of has some negative connotations to it, of course. Especially just being so many. It's usually you either want less that take more hits or like more enemies that are easier, faster to kill, I should say, not easier. It's generally kind of a good way to think about it. So I think I killed them all. Alright, I won the demo. It's about what I expected. Score is 104. I don't know what the score is based on. Thanks for playing. So yeah, in the end there, I think kind of the last part where I was just kind of dashing around and shooting. Straightforward as it was, I mean, that feels pretty decent. With the exception of I still don't really like the controls as they are. So that is what I would suggest focusing on primarily. Would be the controls as they are. They're not comfortable for me. You could ask some other people for their input, I suppose. But yeah, for all of the games I've played, what I suggested is what I think is much more commonly used for this sort of thing. So that would be my suggestion. I think just tweaking the controls would probably be pretty easy, and that would make things a lot more playable, in my opinion. Aside from that, you know, keyboard and mouse controls would be nice to implement, obviously, for the way that this plays. And I would think about some of those other details about platforming conventions, such as, you know, double jumping or climbing on ledges and that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, none of those in particular are necessary by any means, but just, you know, those sorts of things can make platforming itself feel more polished and involved and less frustrating sometimes. You know, there's just different stuff to consider, rather than kind of the pure platforming where you can only run and jump, and that's it. Oh, and I also mentioned the idea of like buffering off of ledges when you you know, for a couple ticks after you step off a ledge and you press jump, that it would still register as a jump. That sort of thing, that can be really nice. And aside from that, I think I'll probably about wrap it up for my feedback. I would change the shooting to on button press if you're not planning to do a charge attack, which I can of course understand if you mean to do a charge attack. On the other hand, I think what a lot of the Mega Man games actually did was they had the regular shot on button press, and then you could still hold it afterwards. So that's actually the best of both worlds now that I think about it. So what you do is basically, if you want to do a charge shot, you press the button and it'll shoot your little P shot, and then you just hold it down, and then you can get your charge shot, which is on release instead of on button press. So your small shot on button press and your charge shot on button release, and then that'll give you the ability to do a charge shot while also having the benefit of having your normal shots on button press and nice and responsive. So I would definitely recommend that rather than on button release. So that'll make a big difference in my opinion. So yeah, hopefully that was useful to you. Some useful feedback in there hopefully, and let me know if you have questions for me or anything. And I look forward to seeing what else you do with it. I do like this sort of game, so it's pretty cool to see. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.